Hi, welcome back. I'd like to talk to you more about trust. Okay, I've talked about this on previous programs, but I think it's real important to share some stories with you about why consider trust as part of your financial planning and retirement and estate planning. You know, you work hard all your life to accumulate so that you can use the money in your retirement. And the whole point of accumulating for retirement is so that you can have a stream of income. You can make lump sum payments, purchases, expenditures for certain things. And for a lot of people, they want to leave a legacy. They want to make the lives of their family, their beneficiaries, that much easier. So a trust as part of an overall estate plan can help accomplish that. I've got a couple compelling stories that I've seen firsthand that will help you think about whether a trust is right for your situation. And again, I'm not an attorney. I do have specialized extra training, if you will, in trust, certified trust financial advisor. Took a week away from my family to go through that curriculum and then pass a 4-hour exam. So I paid a little bit of my dues on that. So let's talk about these stories. I've got two for you, and they're very compelling. Number one, Mark. Mark had accumulated about $2 million by the time he had turned age 55. He had a career of sales and entrepreneurship, had worked very, very hard, and he had accumulated a good chunk of money. When I met him, he was married, but then subsequently he got divorced. They never had any children. And he became a client of mine, and we worked together for a number of years. One of the things that we worked on together was establishing his estate plan, which included wills, trust, all of that. And we worked with an attorney to advise him and prepare those documents. Good so far. Well, unfortunately, a few years later, Mark became ill. And he also, not only did he become ill, but he wanted to see the world. He had a sense that he would not last that long. And he ended up being right. But amongst his travels and his illness, he had the documents in place beforehand, which was really good. He was able to get his bills paid when he couldn't pay them because there was a power of attorney in place. He was able to have his financial affairs managed for him when he could no longer do it. And then when he did pass on, his estate was handled, organized, and the expenses were able to be kept in check because they were prepared. There wasn't a lot of running around trying to figure things out after the fact. So when he passed, his ex-wife received a certain amount of money. His family received a certain amount of money. And then the remainder, and those monies went discreetly. One of the things with a trust is it's private. So those monies went discreetly to his family. And then additional monies were retained by the trust and were earmarked to go to charities on an annual basis. And Mark asked me to serve as the trustee of his trust. And so in doing that, that allowed me to oversee it and manage the money, but also to make sure the money went where he wanted it to go. And so because of that pre-planning, that making sure things were lined up beforehand, his affairs were able to be handled in an orderly fashion. That's really the key point here. Absent that, it would have been chaos. It would have been a mess. So there are distinct advantages of having a trust, and Mark's story is definitely a good example of that. The other example I have for you is Larry and Lucy. Larry and Lucy, these are real people, changed the names, changed the information a little bit to protect their identity, but Larry and Lucy have about $500,000. They are receiving Social Security and pensions, and that allows them pretty much not to have to dip into their savings. And they don't anticipate needing to do that absent some emergency. So they're expecting to leave at least $500,000 as an inheritance to their daughter, Meg. Well, Meg is in her 30s. She's currently unmarried with no children. They are concerned if something happens to leave that much money to Meg all at once. So with the trust, they're able to make sure that all those dollars that are left over go into the trust and are preserved and protected and can be dispersed out to Meg. And their idea is that she would receive $2,000 a month for the rest of her life. And then after her lifetime, the monies could go to other beneficiaries, that not her, but other folks. And the key thing about this particular trust planning arrangement is it's a revocable trust. So during their lifetime, if they want to change it, if they feel more comfortable with Meg's maturity and she is on the path that they feel like she can handle these monies when they pass on, they can revoke the trust completely, they can amend it, they can make changes, they can do all those things while they're still alive and they're competent. So they retain control. But if there are other changes, for example, let's say that Meg gets married, has children, they can change the trust to include those beneficiaries. They can include her spouse or not. They can add the children, which would be their grandchildren, to the trust so that after they die, Meg gets money for her lifetime, and then after she passes, the money then is earmarked for the grandchildren. And then they could get income from the trust for a period of time without receiving the corpus or the all of what's in the trust all at once. And these types of things have been done for decades by families who want to pass money down the generation. Sometimes they're called dynastic trusts or like a dynasty. So the money passes down without the income beneficiary getting all that money at once. Now, there's still the latitude that can be afforded to the trustee that lets the trustee act as the parents, the grantors of the trust, how they would have acted if they had been alive. So for example, let's say that Meg is getting this $2,000 a month after the parents have passed on. And let's say that she runs into some personal difficulties. Let's say she has a substance abuse problem, or there is something else that happens. The trustee can have discretion that is written into the trust. These instructions are part of the trust that instead of paying her a couple $1,000s a month, which is what the trust says, the trustee can stop paying her and instead make payments on her behalf to a rehab center. Or let's say that she is in an auto accident and there are creditors that come after her. Well, and again, this is not my legal opinion because I'm not an attorney, but commonly arranged for in a trust is that those assets are not attachable by creditors of Megan in this example. So you can do a lot of protecting the beneficiary and those assets from going where you don't want them. And the best example of all is if Megan got married and then the parents were to die and then subsequently the spouse divorces Megan and then tries to get those trust assets as a marital asset, tries to say, hey, I'm due part of that money. Typically, that's not considered an asset that would be divided. It stays in the trust for Megan's future benefit. So all of these are reasons why a trust can help you plan stronger.